The trucking industry is collapsing and thousands of truck drivers are about to lose their jobs. If you haven't heard the news already, one of the biggest trucking companies in Canada with over 20,000 trucks just filed for bankruptcy. And the worst part is, they're not the only one. Just in the last year alone, more than 50,000 truck drivers lost their jobs after some of the biggest names in trucking went out of business. And here's the truth. This problem is only going to get worse for truckers, but there is one way you can beat the system. That's why in this video, I'm going to explain the real reason why truck drivers are being laid off, how this will impact the future of trucking, and if you stick around to the end, I'll even show you how you can survive this truck driver purge. So, with that in mind, let me start off by exposing what's actually going on in trucking. Because while everyone's blaming the economy for these massive layoffs, there's something much bigger at play. And it's something that the government and mega carriers don't want you to know about. You see, back in 2020, when the world shut down because of a virus, the trucking industry was actually booming. If you had a semi-truck and half a brain cell, you were making more money than some Wall Street bankers. This is during a time when people were stuck inside, getting pumped full of stimulus checks with nothing to spend it on except Amazon. And this is where the problem started. As manufacturers started making more and more stuff to meet the record high demand, mega carriers also started getting really greedy. Massive trucking companies like Pride Group Logistics bought over 4,000 semi-trucks and hired over 1,000 truck drivers in just 1 year. Experts even tried to warn these companies that this trucking boom wasn't going to last long, but they didn't listen. They were raking in cash so fast, they thought they couldn't lose. But here's the thing, when you expand too fast, you crash even harder. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as the shutdowns lifted and demand went back to normal, these trucking companies were left with too many trucks, riddled with too much debt, and more importantly, too many truck drivers to find consistent loads for. So now when you hear about trucking companies like Pride Group Logistics shutting down, just remember, it's not because the economy or whatever BS excuse they're trying to feed you. The real reason is much simpler. They got greedy, they took a gamble, and now the truck drivers are left to face the consequences. But if you think the trucking industry is in trouble right now, just wait. What's happening today is just the beginning of a massive wave that is designed to push even more truckers out of work. And the scary part is, it's happening faster than anyone expected. Because think about it. In the 80s, it was the Motor Carrier Act. In the 90s, it was the CDL mandate. And in the 2010s, it was the ELD mandate. And now, the next big threat to truck drivers is automation. You might not like it, but it's the truth. Automation is the future of trucking. The idea of self-driving trucks isn't just some science fiction anymore, okay? They're being tested right now, and some trucking companies are already using them to run long-haul routes. Mega carriers are pouring billions of dollars into this technology because, let's be real, self-driving trucks don't need brakes, they don't get tired, and they won't ask for livable wages. So what does this mean for you as a truck driver? Well, you better get used to making less money and having less job opportunities available to you. If you think I'm being too dramatic, just look at what companies like Tesla are doing. They've already started rolling out hundreds of these self-driving semi-trucks to big companies like Pepsi, Walmart, and UPS. These trucks that they're building can already drive for hundreds of miles without a person behind the wheel. Just imagine what they could do in just a few more years. As the technology improves, the need for truck drivers is just going to disappear, okay? It's just the reality of the situation that you're in. If you're not prepared for this change, you're going to get blindsided, and by the time you realize what's going on, it's going to be too late. But there is a way you can avoid this disaster, and it's not what you think. You see, the mistake that many truck drivers make is that they think the only way to survive is to just keep driving, okay? Just hope that the industry will magically change back to what it used to be. But let me tell you something. The real survivors in this industry are the ones who can adapt. And that means learning skills that companies can't just easily automate, okay? Skills that are essential no matter what happens in the trucking industry. Now, you can do this in one of two ways, okay? You can either specialize or you can upskill. Let me explain. Specialization just means focusing on a specific type of load that requires unique knowledge or equipment. So for example, this could be oversized loads, hazardous materials, or even last mile deliveries where you have to drive around in a crowded city. Think of this as like getting a PhD in trucking, okay? When you upgrade your qualifications and you start specializing as a truck driver, you no longer have to compete with every random guy that gets a CDL and starts delivering dry van loads. You're basically going to make yourself irreplaceable against 99% of other truck drivers. But if I'm being completely honest, it's still not enough to protect yourself from what's coming, which is why you need to take that second step and learn to upskill. Upskilling is just a fancy way of saying you need to learn new things in other areas of trucking to make yourself more valuable. With specialization, you are making yourself more valuable by becoming a better truck driver. With upskilling, you're making yourself more valuable by becoming a well-rounded truck driver. Just think of all the things you can do outside of just driving a truck. For example, this could be learning how to optimize routes, or track hours of service, and even manage ELDs. In a world that's becoming more and more globalized, you need to become a jack of all trades and a master of some. With that being said, guys, you're basically ready to survive the next truck driver purge. However, I have to be completely honest with you, everything I just told you is completely useless. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, no matter how skilled you are as a truck driver, you're still relying on someone else to find your loads. And that's why the final step you need to take to truly break free is to learn how to dispatch. You will not only make more money finding your own loads and working for yourself, but you could also have other owner-operators begging to pay you thousands of dollars just to find loads for them. And actually, that's exactly what I show you how to do in this video right here. I break down step by step how I was able to make $14,000 a month dispatching trucks as a senior in high school. I'm being dead serious. So go watch that video right now. You don't want to miss it, and I'll see you there.